Hello and welcome to a weekly edition, the live stream from the ManCave. I'm joined as ever by Mike,
Hello.
and I'm your host Liam. We're in episode 16. Welcome to number 16 in 2017. See what I did there?
I
Pretty good,
did
wasn't it?
indeed,
That
yeah.
was that was a bit of a
Succession,
link.
numerical succession, yeah.
Keeping consistent.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right. I cut my finger last night, so I'm recovering from that.
You had an ouchie.
I did indeed, yeah. It was a nasty little boo-boo.
Oh no! Oh no! How did you do that then? Is that on your thumb?
Oh, yeah, you know what? Just by diving in, by plunging my hand into the kitchen sink to do some washing, and I went straight for the knife. It was
Straight for
quite
the
actually
knife.
quite it was quite creepy to look at because you know when you actually see the water starting to turn red, you're like, oh, that's not good. Oh,
Yeah.
that's not good.
My wife always has a go at me for putting knives in the washing up submerged in the washing up water. We have a
You know what? They
dishwasher,
are a
but
hazard. Yeah.
yeah, no, but I managed to survive. Many years of not actually doing it. It's not until she started mentioning it, I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
But
It's funny how wives, girlfriends have that effect on you, but yeah.
yeah, I know. So we were so reckless before, weren't we? Just
No,
didn't
yeah.
didn't even
Exactly.
didn't know anything. Didn't know how much danger that we were in. So yeah, I was just had a quick. Well, I've just posted a quick game of Titanfall on the site.
Oh,
It
pretty
just
cool.
got paid. I just did a 10-minute gameplay. I still can't get the audio to play right, so it may stay on the channel. It may not.
Yeah.
Until I get the group chat working, I will not
Mhm.
be posting much. But I really enjoyed myself in that one. I must admit these new loadouts are really working for me because it's forcing me
Yeah.
to play a different way. And because I'm always experimenting with this new loadout, I don't put that much pressure on myself to do very well, and I actually do better
Yeah.
because you're just thinking, well, this is a test. This isn't a real, this is how I normally play, and then you just kind of like, yeah, I'm actually finding it a lot more fun to
Yeah.
experiment through it.
It's a good,
But
good
yeah,
point, actually.
it's pretty
Yeah.
good. Right, well, without Andy this week, he very well. He's poorly, so so it's just us. So I think we're gonna talk some TV, aren't we?
Yeah, let's talk a bit about TV.
We are in the winter season. Winter is winter is it was coming and now it's here.
Yeah, we're full into winter.
Full
Up to
in,
our neck
full
in it.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is also, I mean, we are deep within the film and TV scheduling,
Yeah.
the delights of it, and yeah, there's some wicked TV out at the moment. I must admit stuff. So I'll let you start off with a series that's a three-part series just finished, which concluded on Sunday.
Or did it? We
Or
don't
did
know.
it? That's the
Yeah,
question.
indeed. We are, of course, talking about Sherlock.
Yes,
And
Sherlock
first of
images
all,
coming.
let's get something out of the way. First of all, I mean, have you seen all of it?
Yes,
Yes.
I have seen
So
all
have
of it.
I. Are we going to do a hint at spoilers or not? Should we do it?
I don't
Keep it
think so.
spoiler
I
free.
think I honestly think that we're quite good at kind of not
Keeping it
telling too
spoiler.
much. Yeah, I think for review purposes, especially this
Yeah.
close to it being done,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people that just watch this on iPlayer. To be
Yeah.
fair, nobody
That is
watches
true.
live
Yeah.
TV very much.
No.
So yeah,
That's fine. We can do it spoiler free. Right. I think that, contrary to what a lot of professional reviewers are saying out there, I found this last season very entertaining. I lapped it up, and I think the main criticism that's been leveled at Sherlock is a very unfair one for this season because people say, oh, it's so over the top though. It got really silly. It got, it wasn't believable, things like that. And
mm.
to these people, I ask, when was it ever believable? From episode one of Sherlock, I'll concede that they've taken a few more liberties, this past season and the third one, admittedly, too. But it never felt like it jumped shark or that it diverged so much from what this show originally set out to be, which is a brilliant modern reinvention of an old classic, of an old literary classic. I always say that Stephen Moffat and Mark, is it Gatiss? Yeah, Gatiss.
Yeah, Mark Gatiss. Yeah.
Have done an excellent job at modernising Sherlock and giving him like a 21st century makeover and update. And I mean, and right from the first episode, I was never under any illusion that this show was aspiring to be set in a 100% real world. If you want a sleuth, like a TV sleuth that is set in the nitty-gritty world, then watch Luther, which is another brilliant show, but you can't really compare the two. Sherlock is mass entertainment. It's like blockbuster entertainment on TV. And I really enjoy it for what it is, and that's why I think it's a bit unfair when some of the reviewers are saying, "Oh, it jumped shark," or you know, it has gone too far over the top.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Okay. Yeah. I think it is. It's hard. I think it started out as a detective series.
Yeah.
I think that's quite. Everybody can quite agree on that detective series. I don't know whether it is that now. I kind of feel that kind of gone into almost superhuman, like almost Illuminati type lore with it. Of kind of like, before it was like, well, Sherlock was like a private detective which worked with the police and was the smartest guy in London that could solve these crimes. What they've kind of built him up to be is one of the smartest people in the entire world. Mainly because of the world we live in now. We've got this kind of benchmark, this kind of internationalism. We've got this kind of no borders situation. So, when the original character was made, there was no telling if there was anybody else like Sherlock out there, because it was Victorian times would have not been able to actually capture any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it is much different now. I don't know. I think it's hard to actually tell. I love the series. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the series. And it is like 3 movies.
Yeah.
Every series is not really a series. It's like 3 feature films in content. When you watch it, you kind of like, well, this is a feature film length. And this is the 4th season now. Am I right?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, it's the 4th season. And yeah, it kind of goes into some kind of surreal where you don't actually know what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Which is good. It is good. I mean, in a movie, you'd be like, "Wow, this is great." But when you kind of like every single,
if you rely on it too much as a plot device, then it starts losing its punch, its impact. I'd say.
Yeah, and then you start to kind of like, I know the characters are fictional, but you start to, there must be some reference that they have to stick with.
Yeah.
To actually keep them a little bit grounded in the real world, and I just don't know. I don't know whether that's it. I like them solving the puzzle. I like them solving the thing. But then when the answer is something so amazingly elaborate,
something out of our grasp,
something completely like, well, you might as well just said aliens did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the kind of implausibility of some of the things this season was like, right, that's okay. Well, there's no chance. Like we couldn't play along in this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because part of I know classical murder mystery is that the audience plays with you. Oh, I think he did it. or I wonder how they would. What if this?
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean with
And
that. There you kind of like,
you can't play in that realm now. You just have to sit there and enjoy the ride, which is fine. But then again, what is this? What is the show? Is it just like, strap in? It's just going to get weird. Or do you want it kind of like, well, this is a crime solving thing in almost British form?
yeah,
Do you want the audience to play along? Do you want the smarter people in the audience that go, wow, I noticed this, I noticed that? And do you want them to link it together, or do you just want to give them a story where it's just like, you ain't got no chance working this out?
yeah.
So I don't know.
No, but that's a fair enough. That's a fair enough point.
Mm,
And one criticism I do have for this season, well, this last episode, which is allegedly the season finale, is that all of a sudden, towards the end, it felt very rushed, and it
mm,
felt like it's almost as if Moffat and Gatiss forgot not only that they had to end the episode, but guess what? You have to tie up the season and possibly the entire series as well. And I
mm.
did get that impression at the end. I was like, it was a good episode, but my God, those last 5 minutes, that's it. That's it.
Mm.
If we're not seeing them ever again, I feel a bit like literally as if they just left without saying bye properly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and didn't you find that maybe the last episode, not to try and go into, it didn't really connect to anything that happened in the previous episodes?
I think it did not all the way
Mm,
back from the first
not-
season. I
No, no,
did
no,
think
no.
from
I'm
season
just talking
three.
about these three. These three, they were three kind of almost separate crimes, which were sort of linked, but not
Well, the
really.
second episode was definitely linked to this one.
Do you
The
think?
whole
I don't
ending of
know.
the second episode
I'm not too
feeds
sure.
into.
Well, yeah, I suppose the end of the second one, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it was, yeah. I think you're right. It felt a little rushed. You
It
know,
didn't end; it stopped, which is
yeah,
very
it
different.
stopped. Not only that, it was a bit Hollywood as well, which
Yeah,
I was like, okay, well that's
yeah. There were two. There were, yeah, there were. What was it that I wanted to say? Yeah, two things in this episode, and there was, or rather, one thing they did twice. As much as I love Sherlock and Watson, having them almost freeze frame mid sprint or mid leap with an explosion behind them, that belongs in a completely different
that particular
show or
part.
even a different film.
A
Yeah.
spoiler today, that particular part does look naff, so nobody can
Yeah.
say it doesn't. That bit, when my wife was just like, well, that looks naff. And we went, yeah,
Yeah.
well,
And
that's
also that
fine.
there you start saying like, well, they must be very superhuman then. They must be superhuman at this stage like that. So yeah,
And so
but you know what? This is a show that managed. This is and I mean this as a compliment, and I don't often mean this as a compliment, but it managed to suspend my It successfully managed to make me suspend my disbelief throughout the series. I didn't go. So the fact that I was surprised by so many people saying like, "Oh, it's so over the top now," I think is a testament to how entertaining the show is that I didn't stop to pay attention to it.
yeah,
So
yeah, but it's, again, it's good to see those characters on screen. Benedict
Mhm.
Cumberbatch and I mean, they are very good characters. They're very good actors.
Very well played. Yeah.
Very well played. Martin Freeman. I
Yeah.
was struggling to find Martin Freeman's name. Sorry, Martin, if you're watching.
You know what? I'm forgetting actors' names now, and it's scary. I don't know
Mm.
whether it's fatherhood. I don't know whether it's now that I'm in my 30s, I start forgetting stuff. It's just
Yeah, I
scary.
don't know. I think you choose the amount of information you take in. So
Yeah, actually, it is
yeah,
probably that.
I think that's what it is selective. So I'm still pretty good with films and movies and stuff and TV. So yeah, so we'd definitely say what we're saying about this then. If people are thinking, if they're on the fence about the series.
Yeah, I would say I would if I had to give it a rating out of 5, like we've done in the past with other stuff. I would say Sherlock throughout its seasons, to me, has been a consistent 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd probably
very
go with that.
entertaining, not perfect, but very entertaining.
Would you say that if someone's been on a desert island somewhere and they haven't actually watched any of the Sherlocks, is it important to go back to some of the source material? Sorry, not source material, but some of the previous episodes to actually watch. Is it worth doing that before this one?
It's not fundamental, but I do think you have, like with any series, you have an sort of like extra appreciation for it if you watch the whole thing. But no, it's also been. I have some colleagues in the office who like Sherlock, but they didn't watch it from the start. So
Okay.
it's goes to show that.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Well, there you go. That was Sherlock.
Yeah.
The next hot TV show on the BBC rocking it this year, is the new Tom Hardy starring Tom Hardy, Taboo.
Yeah.
So Taboo, I'll just get some blurb.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Dun dun dun. Well, let me try and do a spoiler-free.
Yeah.
Synapseth.
But it's a show. If this makes sense, it's a show that I want to enjoy when I see it. So
Okay.
yeah.
Right. So set in, I would say Dickensian. Dickensian times, yeah. I was probably almost Dickensian times. Around the period in London of the great shipping lanes, just after the American Civil War. That's kind of almost wrapped. There's still a lot of hatred for America. Prince Regent is in the crown, and so we're in that period. Tom Hardy, who plays a character named Delaney, and he turns up off of a ship, to attend his father's funeral in London.
Yeah.
His father, he just turns up in he was supposed to be dead. I thought he was dead. Get a lot of that.
Yeah.
He was dead. He turns up with the gravitas that Tom Hardy can bring to a character. Dark, brooding, apparently been out in Africa, in the darkest reaches of Africa, for many years. Yeah, various stories about him doing horrible things to people and all this kind of stuff. Lots of legend and rumors, and yeah, he turns up and decides that he would like to take his father's failing shipping firm, which was in ruin while his father went slowly mad, and start it up again.
Yeah.
So, but there is a key bit of information there, which I'm not going to share, as to why he's got to start it up again. But he basically, this piece of information which he has, or this asset that he has, will make basically him a wanted man by very powerful people in London. A wanted man, like they want him dead.
Right.
So he's taking on the establishment, mainly the East India Trading Company. This is a brilliantly dark series. It's extremely well written. It's written by Tom Hardy himself, Matthew Knight, and who also wrote Locke, and a bunch of other things like Eastern Promise, which was another film, and Chips Hardy.
I was waiting for you to say that. I mean, that's the best name in history.
Chips Hardy,
Hardy.
Who is Tom Hardy's father.
Yeah.
And co-produced by Tom Hardy and Ridley Scott. So you've got plenty of names associated with this. You've got plenty of specialties in there. Oh, Mike, you still there? No. I believe I lost Mike there. Well, it's just me for a minute. So yeah, made by Chips Hardy, produced. Looks like Mike's dropped off there. Brilliant, as usual. Technical problems. Oh, he's back. Good.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you did drop off there though for some.
I know. Yeah.
So yeah, produced by this. So there's the synopsis. Right, this is incredibly dark. Probably a bit too dark for the BBC. I think there's been lots of talk about it. Maybe not continuing on the BBC. It's been sold to Fox and it's being shown live in America on Fox. It is. Oh, it's so gritty. It's so dark. It's just. It's grubby. It's very well made. I mean, we do period dramas very well, but we do the clean versions of them. This is the very much dirty version of it. This is the horrible, whoring, murder, money grabbing, dirty parts of London business, and especially with the shipping trade at that time, it was the be all and end all of everything.
Right.
Then this character brings some very strange things from his life in Africa, like this tribal stuff, this almost voodoo. I mean, Taboo is. I'm sure that it's kind of a voodoo reference because there's some very dark things going on, and nobody actually knows what's happened to this character. The second episode was on Saturday, and it's just. Yeah, the last two episodes, I've been absolutely just silently gripped to it. There are points in it where you just go, it's good because it doesn't spoon feed you information. I really like that. I kind of like they don't have to explain everything. They kind of like there's some bits where so, well, why is he on there? What's that thing that he's doing? What's that? And they don't immediately tell you. They give you some time and follow the story, and it might be kind of resolved in a later scene, or you kind of work it out for yourself about. But yeah, it like I said, it is very well written, and I'm so glad that it's on TV. I just it's nice and fresh. I'm a massive Tom Hardy fan as well. I really rate him in everything that I've seen him in. He's been absolutely brilliant.
If somebody asked me, pick 5 actors that so like current actors like that are your favourites, that you would follow, you'd watch a film or something just because they're in it, he'd definitely be one of them. One of my top 5, definitely.
He's a superb character actor, and in so many movies. He's so different in so many of his movies as well. He's really coming along as I mean, he got the nod for the best supporting actor in The Revenant. You wouldn't even know he's in The Revenant, if you know what I mean. If you didn't know who, you couldn't associate him. Oh, he was in The Revenant. Oh, he was Bane. Oh, he was in this film called Locke. Oh, he was Bronson. You can't. I think he was in a version of Pride and Prejudice as well.
Yeah,
there's so many different types of movies. It's really good stuff. So I would like to see. This is my. A lot of people have different ways they measure how good an actor is. The one thing I say is like, if you get a character of an actor's characters and you line them up, Usual Suspect style, against the wall. Would they, if the characters, like each one feels like its own person and not like, oh, it's so Tom Cruise just, in another film with a different haircut, like that. And if you have Bronson, Bane, Locke, his character Alfie Solomons in Peaky Blinders, his character in Taboo, his character in The Revenant, they all feel like completely different people. Yeah,
I think. It's
not
got to do it's not just got to do with the makeup, it's not got to do with the clothing, the period costume or anything. It's got to do with the character. And I think he gets lost in his roles, and I love that. Yeah. Not many actors still do that. Kristen Bale is one of the other ones, I think, but Tom Hardy might be even better. He might even be better, I think.
I would probably say so. I mean, they always said that Daniel Day-Lewis was like a massive what's the word where they get the character? Well, it's not character actor. It's where they immerse themselves. They become the character.
Oh, method actor. Yeah.
Method actor. He's a great method actor, but I don't know. I don't buy it as much. I can see Daniel Day-Lewis, with it. With Tom Hardy, I can see, this guy. I mean, even The Craze. He played 2 different people in The Craze.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's another example.
Yeah, he played 2 different people, and he was 2 different people, like completely different people.
Yeah.
it wasn't kind of like him. It was almost like the angel and the devil on the shoulder, those
The
kind
yin
of
yang
differences.
type of thing, yeah.
Absolutely. So no, I'd recommend it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. At the moment for me, it's something. It's the thing I'm really looking forward to watching on TV every week. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign. I think when it's all done and dusted, I think there might be about 8 episodes in this.
Right, okay.
I think it's an 8 episode run, so which is going to be great if it is.
Mhm.
There's also going to be some additions. I did a bit of checking, and I think there'll be some Tom Holland might be in there as well. But Jonathan Pryce is already in there, which is great. Mark Gatiss is
Yeah.
actually shown up in there as well. There's been some real kind of notable. I'm like, all right, they're bringing out all the respected,
BBC's big guns. Yeah.
BBC's big guns for this. So they do kind of like pride it high, place it high on the pedestal for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd heartily recommend that. So that's 2 recommendations I've got to say. It's you need to get on iPlayer and you need to watch it.
Yeah.
So,
There you
it's
go.
well worth it.
Does Taboo lead us neatly into our next topic?
Well, it does. It kind of involves somebody. Our group topic today was going to be Bond,
Yeah.
James Bond,
Bond.
James
Yes,
Bond.
indeed it was.
Yeah, because now Tom Hardy has kind of had he's now been almost reborn into the BBC thing.
Yeah.
Into the BBC thing. It's like, oh, now we can put him in the conversation for the new
Yeah,
James Bond.
exactly. Exactly, yeah.
Just like oh God, Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Indeed.
So what are we talking here? Now I've only heard of Tom Hiddleston being up for that role.
What it is that every once in a while, like Bond, it's like Doctor Who. Whenever it's a bit of a cyclical existence. Whenever one actor is on his way out, everyone loves to speculate about who's going to be playing him next. And I get it. It's a speculation that I lap up as well. But I always find interesting how whenever this.
Oh, your sound's gone a bit funny there, Mike.
I'm sorry. So
That's
whenever, can you hear me now?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Whenever it's time to recast James Bond, I always find it very ironic and entertaining how a lot of the predictions, a lot of times they're not spot on. But it's a game that we can play anyway, and it's always fun to do anyway. So what I think, right? There's a few names that get thrown into the mix quite often, and I think things that you need to keep in mind when you're talking about who could play Bond, you need to think about, I think, what is it? A few key points. One of them is age.
Right.
James Bond. If you cast James Bond, he needs to be ideally starting out in his 30s. If it's already in his 40s, it's not really going to last long, I think, because yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I thought Bond was always in his 40s. I think.
No, I know, but I'm saying not just from. I'm not talking from a story point of view. I'm talking about a contractual point of view. If you're going to hire someone to play James Bond, you'd hopefully want them for at least 4 films, like Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. And if you're going to hire them at their 45, by the time they've finished, they're going to be in their late 50s or their mid 50s at least.
Surely that's what they did with Pierce Brosnan and Daniel
No, I know,
Craig.
but it's starting to look like Roger Moore. He was in his late 50s when he was 61, I think, when he played James Bond in A View to a Kill. And it starts getting ridiculous.
He was a good Bond. He was I think he was my Bond because it was that era.
But Pierce Brosnan, he was, I think, 48 when he did Die Another Day. And already then in Die Another Day, he looked all right, but I did think he's not going to do enough. If he does another one, it's going to start looking silly. So age is definitely something that you need to keep in mind. Another thing which you need to keep in mind is whenever they've cast a James Bond, like an actor to play James Bond, it wasn't an A-lister at the time. Usually they hire people who have got a lower profile who then can be molded into an A-lister through Bond,
Yeah.
like that. And finally, you have to, and this kind of relates to point two, you have to also think about how much of a salary these actors command, because they don't want to spend so much money on hiring someone new. Daniel Craig will get offered loads of money. That's because he's just done four really profitable James Bond films. If you're
Mm.
starting fresh, you can't command a $50 million or pound salary like Daniel
Yeah.
Craig could,
Yeah.
you know. So with that in mind, as much as I love Tom Hardy and another favourite, Michael Fassbender, I think they could both easily do Bond. I think I could see them in a tux, in a suave suit, pulling off the action scenes and pulling the women and all that. But they've both been nominated for Oscars. They've both been in quite popular films, and they're both already A-listers.
Mm.
So I don't think the studios would go for them necessarily, to be honest with you.
No, because you kind of with that kind of franchise, you do lose yourself
Yeah,
for a long time. I mean, Tom Hindlesham,
exactly.
he entered the Hollywood sphere, into the arena with Marvel and signed a big contract to be in a lot of Marvel films. But now, as
Yeah,
he's kind of coming to the end of that, he can actually branch out and do other films, but still he's contractually um, linked to it. I mean, we've seen Defiance with Daniel Craig, which was a very good film, but that's probably the only film I've actually seen him outside of the Bond. So for people like, you talk about Tom Hindlesham. Well, let's talk about who are we talking about? We're talking about Tom Hindlesham, Michael Fassbender, Tom Hardy, Idris Elba. He's in the conversation as well. All of these guys have got so many more films left to make and so much more to
yeah,
do than just hide in a Bond film. Daniel
yeah.
Craig he's very good, but he got famous for the TV show Friends in the North.
Right.
And he was on that TV series Friends in the North, and it's kind of his performance in that kind of got Mark Strong was in that as well, kind of got him into that
Yeah,
into that role, and then they thought, well, we can mold him and everything like that. So yeah,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, you got Colin Firth. I think he's too old now.
yeah. Colin Firth is too posh. If he was to do James Bond, I think he would be more the Roger Moore type of Bond,
Yeah,
which I like the Roger Moore films, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think they want to go back down that route, to be honest.
no, but he's
So,
already done Kingsman, his Bond now.
yeah, that's his Bond role in a way,
Yeah,
in a funny way.
yeah, but I think you're right. I mean, it sometimes works with Bonds. It sometimes doesn't. I mean, like Timothy Dalton, it didn't particularly work. He was a more of a rough and ready Bond like we've got now. I think you've got to change the Bond a little bit. I don't know. I think we went completely with the rough one in Daniel Craig, and I'm gonna be honest. I have not enjoyed a Bond film as much as Casino Royale. Or since Casino Royale. That was kind of the last one I really enjoyed. So, oh, we got up again. This keeps happening. We just got a sad face of Mike. So yeah, so that I have to just keep filling now for this. So yeah, so I haven't actually enjoyed a film as much. So I didn't really think much of Skyfall or Quantum of Solace or anything like that. So I'm hoping that I think Spectre, which is the new one that comes out. And actually, the Spectre is the new one, and I haven't actually seen it yet, so I can't comment on that. But yeah, I haven't really enjoyed those so far. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who will take over the mantle. Um, yeah, well, I can't really have a much more of a chat because I've lost Mike. Um, I'll just see whether he's on or off here, and no, I don't think he's going to come back on. So, well, I guess I'll have to just leave it there. I don't think Mike's going to come back on. Please, if you want to join us again, maybe we'll have a full squad next week without technical difficulties, but they're becoming common now. So, but yeah, if you'd like to join us, remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below. And we will be back next week with another live stream. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye now.